What's up, y'all? I want to thank y'all for incense and ashtrays. YouTube took it down 'cause I knew they would at some point. But thank y'all for going over to Mixcloud. Mixcloud.com/DwannB. I want to thank y'all for going on over there. We had a good mix down. Got to break down some James Brown, some mellow music, and the Mixcloud is cracking because of y'all. I can't do the live music mix downs on YouTube, but I can do them over on Mixcloud. So I want y'all to download Mixcloud, the app, mixcloud.com/DwannB. I really get that. I love that over there because they let me actually play the music. So when I talk music over on Mixcloud, I can actually play the song, and it makes more sense than me just running my goddamn mouth. You for real, man. Much love back to you, Josh Hawkins, for real. James Hudson, Travion. Oh, it's your birthday. Oh, shit. Happy birthday. I always want to know, how is it having a birthday this close to Christmas, like when you was a kid, like when you was 12? I remember one of my homeboys had his birthday, I think it was December 21st. And I used to see him get like one gift for his birthday and then like two for Christmas because moms didn't have bread like that. What's up, Manuel Heath? I was like, damn, that shit must suck. My birthday in June, so when I was a kid, nigga, I got something new coming every 6 months. June birthday, December Christmas. Having a birthday in goddamn December right next to Christmas when you 12? Ooh, that had to be hard. Yeah. You said they mixed your gifts. Damn. Yeah, man. I had fun over on. We had a good mix down tonight on Mixcloud. Like I said, I thank y'all for going on over there. Like I wish I could do that Mixcloud show here on YouTube. I hate having to send y'all way to a new app. I hate having to do that, but I got to because YouTube. Like you see what happened? They took the stream down. Can't play no music. Yeah, I appreciate that. By the time, mm, you wanna like part of the reason why I know so much history is because I know music. Like some of the best ways to learn history is through music. It's through music. Music is a timestamp. And when you understand the music of the time, you understand the times of the music. I thought I was done for the night too, shit, but I was like, man, you know what? Shit, the wife is knocked out sleep. I'm outside smoking a joint. Let's see what they is. I ain't gonna be on too long. I just wanted to say thank y'all because the mix down was fun. I would have kept going with the mix down, but YouTube was doing all kind of other shit. And I just had to end it. But yeah, when you know, like, I know a lot of history just because, like, I grew up as a kid watching a fuck ton of music documentaries. And one thing about these white folks, here's like a little secret when it comes to them. The white folks in a straight up history documentary, they'll hide a lot. But when you do a music documentary, they'll tell more of the history in a music documentary. So whether you're talking about a documentary about Count Basie or Billie Holiday, Louis Armstrong, when you like chart the history of jazz, they show a lot of history of the times. And they're a little more liberal about what they say in those style documentaries than they are straight ahead documentaries. So that's kind of the key. You know, it's kind of the key. Get those good music like Ken Burns has a whole series on PBS on jazz. It's like 10 episodes. I encourage you to listen to that documentary. Could Karen Bass become mayor of LA? Possibly. I don't think she would though. I don't she don't You know, I used to fuck with Karen Bass, but she cared more about Mexicans than she do black people. So she gonna have to depend on them for the vote. And if another Mexican is running, she ain't getting the vote from them. Shit, but we'll see. We'll see. I appreciate that, Travion. Hell yeah, I like Unsung. I love Unsung, Quan. That's a good place to get a lot of history too. It's fun too because you can see my father-in-law. He did one Unsung. He did the one. He produced all of Atlantic Stars music, and he's on that episode of Unsung, the one they had on Atlantic Star. And I remember right after he filmed that one, he was like, "God damn, they do they research on Unsung." Because he had done Behind the Music on VH1. He did all the shows because he produced everybody, Michael Jackson, Lionel Richie. So he's done all of the documentaries. But he said that Unsung was the one that they had the best questions and they knew shit that no one outside of the studio should have ever known. He did say out of all of the documentary shows, Unsung was the most thorough in their research. Yeah. But yeah, Unsung, for real, like that's the one. You get a lot of you get like for me, I just have a really good memory. A lot of my stuff, I'll like watch Unsung or whatever, and I'll just forever remember what I heard. And then I'm a nerd. I be taking notes. Like when I watch Unsung and the documentaries, when they reference something, I'll be pausing that shit. And I go to my computer and then I do a whole bunch of research on the points that they mentioned and shit like that. Anytime I hear something, I always stop it and go do further research on those sub points that they making within a larger documentary. I've always been like a nerd like that. So when I talk music, I recall a lot of stuff that I researched watching a documentary. Like the documentary pointed me in a direction, and I'm the type I was go down that rabbit hole. Yeah, hell yeah, the guitar is an African instrument, but the current guitar, the way we see it, is an African American instrument. The electric guitar, yes, Les Paul made the first quote unquote electric guitar, but the sound that we all play off of is the Bo Diddley. Look up Bo Diddley. There used to be a thing. Bobby Rush talked about it in my interview with him, called a diddley bow. A diddley bow was just one string that they would tie to a bucket and a stick and a rock and play the guitar like that. Back in the 30s and the 20s and the 10s and then going back to slavery, what Bo Diddley did was he made it into a box. And we forget a lot of our great black people back then, when we taught ourselves before segregation, you learned plumbing, you learned how to be an electrician, you learned all that stuff in standard school. So Bo Diddley, the sound that we attribute to blues and rock and roll is that Bo Diddley sound. And he created his own guitar. So that when it comes to that electric guitar and when it comes to the distortion and the wah wah and all that stuff, that's us. That don't go back to Africa. That's right here in the United States of America. Jimi Hendrix, Muddy Waters, Bo Diddley, Howlin' Wolf. That's us. All that's us. Shit, one of the greatest guitar players ever was Wah Wah Watson. He just passed away a couple years ago. Go look up Wah Wah Watson. That's him playing the guitar on all that Michael Jackson shit. And everybody. The guitar is our instrument. When you listen to Van Halen, Van Halen is a knockoff Eddie Hazel. He's a knockoff Jimi Hendrix. And they all will tell you Muddy Waters. Muddy Waters. Muddy Waters, Muddy Waters. Let me say it again. Muddy Waters. Howlin' Wolf. Bo Diddley. those, those are your kings of the guitar. Robert Johnson before them. Petey Wheatstraw. A lot of people think Petey Wheatstraw is just a character that Rudy Ray Moore did. No, Petey Wheatstraw was a very popular blues guitarist from back in the 20s and the 30s. The guitar is completely our instrument. It's completely 100% a foundational Black American tool for music. Elvis Presley was imitating Bo Diddley. Elvis Presley was imitating black people. I talked about this early on Incense and Ashtrays. When it came to heavy metal, Funkadelic. Funkadelic was doing heavy metal before Aerosmith, before Bon Jovi. All that whole Aerosmith, Bon Jovi, all that shit, Red Hot Chili Peppers, that's knockoff Funkadelic. People want to halfway give Funkadelic credit for funk and for hip hop, and they did. But they also they were as important to hip hop as they were heavy metal and rock and roll. Funkadelic. Yeah, John. What's up, Barbara Rashawn? Johnny Guitar Watson. Come on now. Eric Clapton was a Johnny Guitar Watson knockoff. Remember that. Eric Clapton was a Johnny Guitar Watson knockoff. We gotta know our history, black folks. Bass guitar, us. Drum set, us. The whole anytime you see that, let me give you a clue that they're imitating black music. Let me give you one clue. If you see a drum set, a bass guitar, and a piano, that's our shit. And a guitar, fourth. The guitar may or may not be there sometimes, but drums, bass, keys, or drums, bass, guitar, or drums, bass, keys, guitar, that bandstand setup is 100% ours. We created it, and we were doing that setup long before anybody of any other race picked it up. Hell yeah, Bootsy Collins is one of the greatest. Brother Baba Rashawn. Hey, y'all go and check out Baba Rashawn. He did a video. Brother Baba Rashawn did a video. I think it was 2 days ago. It was about an hour and a half, 2 hours long, when he was recapping the year and talking about a lot of good things going on. But somebody said something sideways to our brother Baba Rashawn. It was like halfway through the video. He cussed that motherfucker out so clean. I swear I passed that around to a few people, and that made them subscribe to his channel the way he cussed them out. That shit was so goddamn cold. Barbara Rashawn, you had me in tears laughing that last video you did a couple of days ago. Shouts out to Barbara Rashawn Live. Shouts out to him. But let me tell you something, going back to what I was saying, black people. If you see a drum set, we created that. DD Chandler, 1896, black person. That's our shit. The bass, that whole bandstand. Because when in other forms of music, like in Mexican style music, Mark, the bass is the tuba. In a lot of Caribbean music, the bass is the marimba box, or if not the tuba, the bass sax. The drums don't keep the time in those forms of music. There's a bell or something like that that keeps the time, but the timbales play rhythms and play fills, and the steel drums, they play rhythms. The foundational Black American setup put the timing and the pocket on the drums and the bass. That's the floor of the music. We foundational Black Americans changed the floor. And like any structure, any building, Kwanez, she's a architect. She knows whatever structure you build is is not gonna be any stronger than the base can hold. Same that with music. The bass is the foundation. The drums and the bass, that's the foundation of the music. From there, everything else flourishes. But if the drums and the bass ain't in sync, the music don't work. So if you whether you're listening to whether whether you're listening to funk, or whether you're listening to music from Puerto Rico or from Africa, anywhere in Africa, India, England, if they have a drum set, a bass guitar, and some sort of keyboard and guitar, that's them adapting to the foundation of Black American bandstand and style of play. Because none of those other groups had that set up before the 1940s and 60s. None of those cultures, you listen to their music, most places, most of these countries had their cultural revolution, their music revolution between the 40s and the 60s. Mostly in the 60s. Dizzy Gillespie, uh, Fats Domino. These are the people that went around the world changing their Count Basie, Duke Ellington, Louis Armstrong. These are the ambassadors of the world music. They even say during World War II, Hitler, punk ass, made Black American jazz music illegal. So a lot of your Nazi soldiers would have these underground clubs that they would go to listen to American jazz music because that that German freaking bullshit music, they wasn't feeling it. In Jamaica, Jamaica had its music revolution in the 60s because in the 50s, Jamaicans were coming out here planting sugar cane, and during World War II in the 40s, they were coming out here doing work while we were at war. So what they would do is they would get Black American records, take them back to Jamaica, and then start adopting our style of play for their music revolution. Argentina, Puerto Rico, Cuba, all of these places, Mexico, all of these places had music revolutions in the 60s. And that's because of Motown, Jimi Hendrix. Y'all listening to me, these names? Louis Armstrong before that, Miles Davis, Dizzy Gillespie, Charlie Parker, John Coltrane, Chuck Berry, Fats Domino. These are the names of the people that sparked music revolutions around the world. B.B. King, Muddy Waters, Bo Diddley, Howlin' Wolf. The rest of the world changed their whole instrumentation setup so they can sound like Black Americans. Okay? Never forget that. Never forget that. If you see a drum machine, Black Americans, they forced the drum machine on us in the 80s because the government wanted to take the live sound out of our music because our music was kicking everybody else's ass and they had to slow the vibration down. We was getting too crunk, too motivated from our music. So they gave us the drum machine. That's still ours. It was just an imitation drum set. So remember that, Black people. If anybody speaking any language, I don't care if they speak in Japanese, Nigganese, Chinese, Tootie Reese, nigga, whatever the Reese's Pieces, where the fuck they speaking, whatever language they speaking. If they have a drum set, a bass guitar, and some key and or guitar, they're imitating you. No, Jamaicans had a tropical sound. Jamaicans played calypso. It wasn't really country. Jamaicans adapted country in the 50s, but Jamaicans had a calypso sound. Jamaicans had a calypso sound before their cultural music revolution of the 50s and the 60s. And Bob Marley will tell you that. They'll all tell you that. Same with the Puerto Ricans. These Fat Joe lying motherfuckers want to say that hip hop is Puerto Rican. Puerto Ricans, their drum setup was cowbells, timbales, and conga drums. and a whole bunch of shakers and rattlers and not even tambourines. Usually it's two percussionists, one doing the shakers and the rattlers, the other one playing the timbales, the congas, cowbells. That was a drum setup. Puerto Rican bass music came from the tuba. You can't get the pocket necessary for hip hop with some fucking timbales and a tuba. You can't rap over you can't rap over that shit. I think there's a whole bunch of loud ass Spanish noises. That bullshit. Can't flow over that. You're gonna flow. You need boom, 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 pa, boom, pa, boom, boom, pa. And that's the pocket that hip hop thrives in. Like I've always said, we've always rapped, but before we came with that boom, pa, boom, boom, pa, rap didn't sound right. Hell yeah, Harry Belafonte came through America. Harry Belafonte is actually Jamaican, but he didn't become famous in Jamaica. He became famous. He had to come to the United States of America and imitate our music, and then he went ahead and did Daylight. Daylight come and but that was a calypso song. That was his Jamaican influence with an American swing to it. You know, next week me and Dr. Randy Short are gonna do a breakdown on this whole. We're gonna do another breakdown on America's influence on Jamaica. Me and Randy Short, we talked today. We're gonna do it like on like January 2nd or 3rd, sometime next week. Me and Dr. Short are gonna do a breakdown on calypso and the black influence on Jamaica's music. But you gotta notice, black people, if somebody's talking shit to you and their music uses drums, bass, and keys, off rip, they're imitating you. They're just putting their cultural swing on your shit. That's all. They're putting their cultural flavor on your foundation. Like they have this new K-pop thing. The richest band in the world is some Korean group. This new, the hottest music in the world right now is K-pop. You got little black kids in America listening to K-pop. I'm like, this is some sad shit. Look, I was looking at their parents like, what the fuck are y'all teaching your kids about their cultural heritage? You got black kids listening to K-pop now, and all K-pop is early '90s R&B. Shit, it's just new. It's just Korean watered down New Jack Swing, but they making billions off our shit. Yeah, yeah. I don't get the K-pop thing, Marcus. I don't get that shit. Somebody say where I am. I'm on my motherfucking street. That's where I am. I got a mic too. It's in my car. That's my car. Let's see. Yeah, everybody copies. Like literally every form of music, white music. See, a lot of the white boys, the original white boys, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, they were very open and honest about copying Black American blues music. Even now, if you like, they weren't honest in the '80s, but you listen to a lot of them '80s artists talk now. They'll tell you, "Oh, we just imitating the Gap Band." One of the honest white boys is Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers. Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers is always giving credit to Bootsy Collins. He's always said that he basically plays Bootsy style. Flea from the Chili Peppers. He's always said that. But they all take our shit. And one thing I want black people to stop doing is stop sharing this shit. Stop saying, well, this is African and it all comes from Africa. No. Yes, the basis of it, yes, it definitely comes from Africa. But this shit right here that the world is addicted to, that came from here. Exclusively here. We invented instruments that did not exist 150 years ago. We invented distortions and sounds that did not exist 50 years ago here. And that's the nucleus to our sound. We all took science class. We all know what the nucleus is, egg, the nucleus to an atom. We all know what the nucleus is. The nucleus of our sound are instruments that we created on this land in the last 150 years. So we ain't got to share shit with nobody. Yeah, it don't take much for Asians to become multi-platinum artists. Yeah, Dr. Show was great. But yeah, this shit here, uh, we ain't got to share this shit. This R&B thing, this hip hop thing, this heavy metal thing, country music. We ain't got to share that shit with nobody. Nobody. That's ours. That's the end of discussion. Now we've allowed other people to put their interpretation, their spin on our shit, but it's ours. I don't want to hear none of that shit. Well, it's all African. No, no. The way we put it together here, that's ours. Especially when you go back to the 70s and you hear the way they layered the music with strings. Barry White was Mozart. You put a Barry White, Gene Page string arrangement next to Mozart. Mozart had these grand bills and these long songs. Barry White had a new string arrangement every 3 minute song that he released. Hundreds of them. Barry White used to sing his arrangements out to Gene Page, and Gene Page would write them down. Shit, I put my father on Mr. Carmichael. I put Mr. Carmichael's string arrangements up there with Mozart and Beethoven. When I listen to what the string arrangement he wrote on Zoom and all night long, and what's the song by the Jackson Five? I'll Be There, and a lot of the stuff he wrote, man, the strings, he's up there with Johann Sebastian Bach. Same with Quincy Jones. And that's just the string arrangements. Then you have the horn arrangements, Tom Ford, I'm sorry, Tom Washington, horn arrangements, Charles Stepney, Hal Davis. These are names y'all gotta know. Paul Reiser. That was Paul Reiser that put together all those Luther Vandross arrangements, strings, horns. Paul Reiser, man. Paul Reiser is one of the greatest composers ever. Most people don't even know his name. We have so many, and these are just components. We're not even getting to the singers. We're not even getting to Aretha, Whitney Houston, Stephanie Mills, the way they sing. Can't nobody in the world out sing Stephanie Mills. We ain't talking about the drum arrangements yet, and the bass, and how the drums and the bass lock in. Man, our music is on another level. What we create as foundational Black Americans, musically, it's untouchable. Okay, yeah, Jamaica, you got Bob Marley. And Bob Marley was great, but Bob Marley was just Jamaica's version of R&B. And Yes, he impacted the world, but not nearly as much as Stevie Wonder. You can't compare Bob Marley to Stevie Wonder. It's just when you put them two in the same room, it's gonna be Stevie Wonder all day. Michael Jackson, come on, Prince. We reproduce this shit over and over again. Other places may get a one off. They'll get that one Beatles, which they weren't even that great. They just popped off. You'll get that one Daddy Yankee or whatever from another country. You'll get that one or two dope artists from Europe. But we pump these like you can't compare anyone in the world to Marvin Gaye. You can't. There's no other artist ever to exist as smooth as Marvin Gaye. Ever. In any other country. Nope. Take their most Rico Suave, best singing, best writing artist, and that person couldn't clip Marvin Gaye's toenails. Just stop it. Did you see Aretha Franklin? Go back and look at talk about them. Their music, their best over there in Europe was Pavarotti back in the three tenors. Pavarotti. Yeah. Go look at Aretha Franklin. She goes and sings classical in a language that she can't even speak, and she outsang the three tenors. Look that shit up on YouTube. This is Aretha Franklin, a soul singer from Detroit. She outsang Pavarotti in classical. She stood in for him on the three tenors, and not only did she hit every note, the emotion that she brought to it will put you to tears. You can't name any woman or man in the world that can touch Aretha Franklin. There's no equivalent to Quincy Jones. There's no equivalent to Duke Ellington. Come on, Duke Ellington and Count Basie. Look them. We talk about the greatest orchestra arrangers. Beethoven cannot fuck with Duke Ellington. No, Duke Ellington's music will outlive Beethoven's. Count Basie, those arrangements, you can't name a composer in the world that can touch Count Basie. So these are things, black folks, that we have to be proud of. And it's not about shitting on other people. Everyone has the right to have a cultural pride. We never, as a people, get offended when other people show how proud they are of their culture. We don't. Do you ever see black people getting away? They talk about the Asian culture. Hell, half these ghetto chicks want to be Asian. All these fucking China dolls and shit walking around the hood. We never get offended when other people express their culture. We don't get offended at Jamaicans. Hell, down here in LA, on this Belizean Fest Day, hell, there'll be a bunch of niggas that ain't from Belize. Like, shit, let's go down there and fuck with the Belizeans real quick. That's how we are with other cultures. We don't trip, but it's time we stop suppressing our cultures to make other people's cultures, make other people feel good. If people like you, they'll have no issue with you expressing your culture. If anyone has an issue with you expressing your culture, that means they probably don't like you. And if they don't like you, fuck them. That's the long and short of it. The people who fuck with you will have no issue with you expressing your culture. The same way you don't have issue with other people expressing theirs around you. But if they don't like you, why are you trying to appease them anyway? Fuck them. We got to get comfortable making other people uncomfortable. We have to be comfortable making other people uncomfortable. Because who are you making uncomfortable? If you being honest about yourself makes someone uncomfortable, they ain't worth shit anyway. Fuck them. The shit stains. Thank you for that, Spike Stein. Yeah, Billy Strayhorn, who wrote for Duke Ellington. And nothing about Billy Strayhorn. Billy Strayhorn was openly gay in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. He died like I think in 68. Black Americans didn't trip. It was very open that Billy Strayhorn was gay. We didn't trip. So fuck all this fake ass homophobia in the black community. Niggas knew Billy Strayhorn was gay, and niggas didn't give a fuck. When the show was over with, he went and found a dick somewhere, and them niggas found some pussy somewhere, and we kept it pushing. Yeah, young black people don't know about that culture. That's why we gotta teach it. That's why we gotta teach it. That's why I do what I do. I'm always putting the information out, so hopefully y'all can pass it along. I ain't no goddamn authority on information. I just like to talk. I like to read and I like to talk. I'm a nigga that love to read and research and I love to talk. And I got a fucking college degree in talking. Bachelor's of Arts in Communication Studies. Now, I'm just having fun doing this shit. I just hope that you pass this along to all the young people around you, like somebody passed it along to me. Yeah, you're right, brother Bobby Rashawn. Little Richard was gay. So y'all check out Barbara Rashawn's video from a couple days ago. That was a good show, really good show. Black people don't give up. You know who else is gay that we knew was openly gay? The fifth Beatle, Billy Preston. Somebody hit me up on Twitter a couple days ago and asked me, I be forgetting how young you niggas is. And really how young I'm only 40, but I started studying music when I was 12, 13. And I started in the 1920s back then. So I was like learning music of the 90s as I was learning music of the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. So for me, this shit's secondhand knowledge. I mean, first, I mean, just second nature. So I be forgetting how many people don't know. But yeah, Billy Preston got a song, ain't got no melody. I know him. He had a cold ass afro too, but he was openly gay. But he still performed at the Mavericks Flat on Crenshaw. People wouldn't trip, and he'd go get some dick afterwards, and that was it. Hell yeah, Luther and Freddie Jackson. We knew them niggas was gay. Hell, my whole life I thought they were singing to each other. Niggas was gay as fuck. We didn't care. It was all kind of chocolate dipping going on in the studios. Niggas wasn't tripping. Hell yeah, Billy Preston saved the Beatles. That's what it makes it seem like, oh, Billy Preston was the fifth Beatle. No, Billy Preston was the Beatles. And even though his music with the Beatles sold the most, Billy Preston's music alone without the Beatles was better. I don't know who on the Mavericks flat now. I used to perform there a lot doing stand-up comedy. Brent Taylor had a room there. That shit was fun. Y'all know Brent from All Deaf. Let's see. What else y'all talking about? Shit, I'm done with my weed and everything. I'm about to get the fuck up. I've been talking all goddamn day. Download mixcloud slash DwannB for the live music mixed down. Hell yeah, Billy Preston was a main pianist. Tell you, that nigga had the cleanest afro ever. But yeah, but remember, if you forget anything I said today, remember this: if you see a drum set, a bass guitar, and either keyboard and or guitar, you're dealing with the foundation of Black American bandstand setup. We did that. That's the signature of our music. No other group in America or anywhere in the world used that setup before we created it. So whether they're singing in Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Iraqi, Swahili, German, French, Spanish, no matter what the fuck they singing in. If you see a drum set, a bass guitar, keys and or guitar, you're dealing with people who are playing a foundational Black American style of music. It's their cultural interpretation based on our bandstand. We don't play what other people play. They play our shit. Remember that. There's no offense to any other group. It's just the truth. We gotta claim our shit.